Hello and welcome to the cottage on another beautiful day. This is the first in a series of 4 videos on our home cured bacon, and we're breaking it into 4 parts so that it's manageable and so that you can look at the parts that interest you most. Today's video is going to be on how to make a cure at home, and even if you don't intend to do that, I would suggest you watch this one, because even if you're going to buy a cure commercially, you want to know all the things that can go into a cure and which ones you want. The second video is going to be about the type of meat we use and the curing process. The third, our home smoker and how you smoke meat. And the fourth is going to be about how to cut and pack meat. So I'm going to apologise in advance today that we're in a real country area with real country people ploughing in the background, so you may hear a bit of tractor rumble and the odd vehicle going past. I'm sorry about that, but this is the real world. Anyway, without further ado, let's look at bacon cures. Let's talk cure. Even if you're not going to make your own cure, this information may help you select the very best cure when you're buying. Most meat cures are predominantly salt. Salt's a powerful preservative and it inhibits the action of bacteria. Before we had refrigeration and freezing, meat with a lot of salt in it could survive for up to a year at room temperature. It was such a powerful preservative. But we now know that too much salt in your diet is bad for your heart and causes various other health conditions. So we use less salt, but as a result of that we have to refrigerate or freeze the meat because it's not as well preserved as it was previously. The other chemical that was traditionally used in meat cures is a thing called saltpeter, potassium nitrate. That is particularly effective at inhibiting Clostridium botulinum, a very nasty bacteria that causes botulism. However, saltpeter is now linked to an increased incidence in bowel cancer. So, whilst it was incredibly useful when we were having to store things at ambient temperature, because we're refrigerating and freezing now, you have the option when making your own cures or even when buying of having nitrate-free meat cures, nitrate-free bacon. That's a choice you can have. Other things that go into your cure can be sweetening agents. I like dark unrefined sugar like muscovado, but you can experiment. Black treacle's great. Maple syrup is delicious. Just a demerara sugar works really nicely. And lastly, why not add a few aromatics? Some people like juniper berries. I like allspice. Black pepper's common, but if you've got it, some of the more exotic peppers are even nicer. This, Szechuan pepper. Light, spicy, floral. Pink peppercorns, more of a tangy, twisty sort of taste than the duller notes of black peppercorn. And even, if you want to get really off-piste, about a bit of green cardamom. It's got that lovely light smell, and it comes out particularly as you're frying. You'll get a very distinct, slightly spicy whiff. Whatever spices you like, feel free to incorporate them. So, those are the elements. I'm going to show you in a minute how we mix them up, what proportions we're going to use for the cure I'm making today, and we can do other forms of cure. Today we're dry curing, so we're basically going to make a cure to pack the meat in that draws water out and inhibits bacterial action. You can wet cure, you can use brine effectively, so salt dissolved in water. It works. My preferred type is dry curing, so that's what we're doing. Let's go and show you the recipe and how to mix it up. Welcome to the kitchen. Let's talk about how we proportion these ingredients out. We'll base everything on a kilo of table salt. So 1 kilo of salt. Sugar varies by recipe and according to how sweet you want it. Indeed, you can leave the sugar out altogether. For me, 200 grams of sugar per kilo of table salt is a good mix. Spices, well, I think about 4 or 5, maybe 6 tablespoons of crushed spices of your choice mixed per kilo of salt. And saltpeter just 8 grams. You don't need a lot. Big jar like that should last you a lifetime. So 8 grams of saltpetre, a few tablespoons of crushed spice, 200 grams of sugar, 1 kilo of salt. You can mix them up in a bowl with a spoon if you're careful. But sometimes I find, particularly with the sticky sugars like muscovado, you get clumping. And I think there's a slightly better way of mixing them. So I'm going to show that to you next. So what you can see here is our powerful blender. And if you look at the top, you can see the sugar and spices and salt and saltpetre being sucked into the whirlpool caused by the blades. And at the bottom, you can see an even brown powder starting to emerge. In effect, we're blending powders in the blender rather than blending liquids. I would recommend that you only do this if your blender is rated for activities like milling coffee beans and crushing ice, because it is very hard on the motor for it to blend heavy powders. But if it's powerful enough, it's a good way of ensuring you get a nice even mix and no clumping. Right, we've looked at all the possible ingredients you might want to put in your cure. We've looked at the proportions to combine them in and how to combine them. So that gives us a finished batch of cure. Now I like to put the cure, when it's finished, in a clip top jar, because when we cure the meat we're going to add this a bit at a time, and we may not use the whole batch of cure on one lot of bacon, so it's useful to keep it airtight but accessible. That's it for making the cure. We've already started part 2 of this series, and part 2 is the curing of the meat, and that'll take about a week, so bear with us and we'll publish that when it's finished. Parts 3 and 4, smoking the meat and cutting and packing it. If this is the sort of content that you enjoy, please give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, tell us what you'd like to see and tell us what you'd like to see next. Subscribe to the channel, click the notifications icon. I've got a lot of bacon to make, so I better crack on. We'll talk soon.